Hey YouTube, what goes on? And welcome to Disavowed Action Figures, bringing to you a Marvel Legends action figure Build-A-Figure build and review for the new Marvel Legends Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure wave. I am so freaking excited for this thing. I can't begin to tell you. I'm sure a lot of you, if you're Legends collectors, agree. This is one of those dream figures that I think a lot of people always hope to get, whether it was in the Riders line or in some capacity. And Hasbro, Marvel Legends team, figured it out. We get it as a Build-A-Figure. He is part of the Reavers. Oh, I'm so pumped to get this thing together. So we will build this guy right here, probably all in one take, hopefully. Huge shout out and thank you to all the reviewers who posted YouTube videos. So I didn't have to be the first person with this, trying to put it together. And also we will take a look at them, we'll review them, and also do some great comparisons with other Marvel Legends, G.I. Joe Classified, and whatever else I have laying around back here in the toy room. So this is our first build. It's our first Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure build here in this review format. However, we have built plenty of Marvel Legends Build-A-Figures over the years on our weekly live stream live at 7:05. Go check out that playlist here on the channel for all the Build-A-Figures from the last several years that we put together live with all of you, the subscribers. So let's get to it. Let's build this guy. Hopefully I don't struggle too much, and then we'll do some comparisons with him. All right, let's do it. But first, as I always say, we are huge packaging fans here on Disavowed Action Figures. So here is the maggot packaging. But here's a look at the cross-sell for the Build-A-Figure. You did need to purchase 6 figures to get all of these pieces together that they somehow crammed across 6 boxes. Wolverine was not required. As far as where I picked these up, I did find Siren and Vulcan both at Target. Sabretooth came from Amazon, and then local comic book shop JAF Comics did have in the Havoc and the Maggot, and also the Darwin in stock at their store. So I picked those up despite having those coming from Amazon in a couple of weeks. So I was able to support a local business and get these figures a little bit faster. Havoc is the only one I would not have been able to find. He was not on Amazon, nor was he in any stores yet. So, all right, it's that time. Let's do it. So I'm going to do this a little bit differently than some other people have done, and that is starting off by just popping the head on right away. I don't want to struggle trying to do that once he actually gets inside the tank. Again, he does have that neck piece there, as you can see, that does go on there as well. That floats on his neck. We'll talk more about the head sculpt. This thing's just fantastic. Sunglasses are also loose. So let's put him to the side for now. All right, so this is the front of the tank right here. You can see lots of pieces with this bad boy, as one would expect. I'm trying not to knock things over, but if you've watched my live streams, you know we tend to knock things over. You'll notice right away we do have the pegs back here in the back, so you will be able to mount other figures using those pegs, which is pretty cool. I think we get a very much G.I. Joe vibe from this thing. Probably, again, obviously the color and just the idea of those peg holes being there. So the key with this is you are going to have these pieces that will basically go onto the flat parts here. So right here, we're going to just kind of slide this right in, making sure to have the hose across the top. The red is what signifies that it goes in the front. The back piece is right here. You'll see also there's a flat part right there for that to kind of slide into as we build. So we're going to slide that into the flat part right there. This vent part will go in the back. I think I'm going to pop that in last once we get everything else together. I'm going to try to just kind of hold it off to the side like this to keep it balanced. So then there will be the pegs on the inside with the holes. They do have to match up. So you just have to be careful to kind of get these to kind of go, again, around these hoses. This is the part I was kind of thinking I'd probably struggle with to get it lined up just properly enough that the hoses are not in the way. There we go. I think I got it that time. So everything looks to be in place, and we'll do it for that. Look for that very hopeful positive pop. Okay, no pop sound, which means nothing broke, which is fine. So we did get these pieces in properly as it would appear, which is great. Then there's this vent piece in the back. There's just going to be basically holes on each side to peg this in. And I saw a cheat where if you don't want to struggle to get it in with the other pieces, you can kind of just slide this apart a little bit in the back like I just did here, and you should be able to pop that in to each of the holes. Of course, this is the part I'm probably struggling with the most. And I think we got it there. Let me just double check. Yeah, I think we got it. All right, so we're just going to squeeze this back together. Sorry if that's a little bit low on the camera. And it looks like we have, yes, we have functional flap going on right here. So that is in there properly, that it flips up and down. Everything else looks to be fine. We have our red in the front. That seems, that should be fine. It's not supposed to rotate, but I should be in there pretty well. So then moving on from this part right here, we do have the extra hands and the barrels to go on. I'm just going to slide this up here. So our barrels will go on the back on here. So there will be these pegs that will allow to go into the hole. So there's the holes right there. So that's just going to peg on right here in the back. So I'm just going to get that hole lined up right there on that peg. And that just slides right on there. No problems whatsoever. And then same thing over here for the barrel. We're just going to find the hole. And we're going to line that up on the side to pop that puppy right on there. So we got our barrels on safely. Let's flip this back around to the front. And now basically we just have to pop in our Bonebreaker. So it wasn't too painful to do that. So let's just slide this in. That's going to peg right in here to the top hole. And just like that, we have built our freaking Bonebreaker. Again, there are other alternate fists, which what I've heard and read and seen is that they can be stored in the back in this flat portion if you don't want to lose them, similar to what MODOK had with his storage. But this thing is freaking awesome. Let's spin it around a little bit and take a closer look at it. And then we'll talk about basically the aesthetics, what articulation it does have, and then we'll do some comparisons. And here he is, Marvel Legends Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure on the rotating base. This guy is frigging amazing. I just don't see a world where this does not end up in like maybe, I don't want to say the best, but top 3 Build-A-Figure territory for Figures of the Year for 2022. Again, I just think it's amazing. The hype for this thing was real. They executed it. They did a fantastic job. I'm impressed they managed to get all the pieces in 6 boxes. Also, the fact that it took 6 figures to actually assemble this guy. It just looks great. I feel like over time, this will be one of the most well-loved Build-A-Figures from the Marvel Legends team. So thank you. Huge shout out to them because this thing is incredible. Let's take a closer look and then we'll do some articulation. So taking a closer look at this guy, and I'm gushing over this. I know, and I don't care. It's incredible. I love what they did here with the tubes. You can see here that they do have some nice aesthetics going on right there. With that, as far as the tank goes, obviously the green looks like a tank, which is fantastic. We do get the blaster up here on front, which we'll talk more about when we get to articulation. I like to kind of get the headlights here in the front. We do get a little bit, if you can see it there on the camera, a little bit of silver paint, it looks like here on the front, which again is a very nice touch. You can see there is texture throughout. There's cracks and divots all throughout the tank. We get this side kind of like a rocket piece. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to call that. The treads on the tank are great. I'll kind of turn it sideways here. You can see those also have the texture. These do not move or anything like that. But again, I think that as far as the tech to make that work would be pretty crazy. But it is kind of a different piece. So it's not like they're glued. You can see right here that it does kind of come down. A lot of, again, nice texture and voltage going here on the wheels underneath the treads. The barrels, again, they're barrels, but they look good. They look used. We do that flat piece in the back that I talked about. Over on this side, same thing with texture and just, again, kind of divots and cracks along the tank as one would expect, which is freaking cool. You do get the texture right here as well on the side where you do have the peg holes, obviously the pegs for the peg holes in the bottom of the feet. If you want to have other characters possibly standing and mounting the tank for a ride. Here on the back piece, again, just great textures you can see there on camera. It looks pretty great how that came out. I just like how it just looks... It looks cool, and again, it looks realistic, I guess is the best way to go. As realistic as a guy attached to a tank is going to look. Then as far as the aesthetics of the actual figure, Again, the face and the head sculpt is freaking awesome. The sunglasses will flip up and flip down. The freaking mohawk is incredible. The facial expression on this guy is just freaking top notch. I freaking love that. He looks like he's having so much fun on that tank. And then just talking a little bit about the gun. We're not going to do a whole separate accessories thing here. But you'll see that there also is some silver paint here on the gun, which looks pretty cool. So here on the end, so nicely done there on Hasbro to kind of just add something extra in there as far as paint goes. You can kind of see right there on the gun. He does have that nice kind of harness piece going around his chest. And these pieces here also do rotate. Those are loose. They are not glued or anything. The bracelets or gauntlets, whatever we're going to call them there, on the wrists. Then again, we talked about the neck piece already. That's also loose. That can be taken off if you want to do it. Yeah, this thing is just freaking everything you would hope it would be. And let's check out the articulation for this thing. Obviously, it's kind of like half of a figure, but we'll see what the articulation is like here on Bonebreaker. And I'm just going to pop him off the tank for a moment here, take a look at the articulation. As we kind of move the arm out, you have your typical arms. So as far out the arm's going to go, you're going to get above horizontal there, above the T. You do obviously get shoulder rotation going all the way around. Bicep swivel as one would expect. Double jointed elbow looks great. Now, I will point out the fact this is not pinless. As you can see, there are pins here. So they did not go with the pinless tech for the arms. That's okay. The cool thing with the hinges on the wrists, we do get the vertical hinge on the wrist as opposed to the horizontal hinge, which always looks better when he's holding a gun or a weapon. Both hands do have trigger hands or trigger fingers, as you can see. The sunglasses will flip up, as we talked about, if you want them to. Head will rotate all the way around if you choose to do the Exorcist with him. As far as how far up he'll look, about that far up. So again, the hair will somewhat encumber it in the back as far as how far up it's going to go. As far as how far down it's going to go, he can really bury that chin pretty well, even with that neck piece on there. But again, you're not going to get a lot of articulation. It's kind of a half a figure, right? As far as the torso goes, we'll get a better idea when he's back on the tank, but he will look down about that far, and the torso will go, it'll click, but it will go about that far back. That's ratcheted. But we'll get a better idea what that's like when we actually get him back here onto the tank. So as far as the articulation on the torso is going to go, once he's actually in the tank, he will look down really far as far as that torso piece goes. And again, you can tuck the head. So getting that arm kind of out of the way for a moment, you can see he will look down relatively far. As far as how back he's going to go with that torso, again, very far back, and he'll look up very far. So if you're wanting to have him be looking up at a target up in the sky, he will be able to do that rather well. And then as far as the articulation on the tank itself goes, one pleasant surprise for me was that this blaster cannon, whatever you want to call it, also does articulate. So if you want to aim it down, aim it up into the sky, again, wherever he's looking at, you can do that. That's a nice touch right there for the actual tank. And although it's not articulation, I already mentioned it, these don't move, but they're not attached. So it's kind of neat that you kind of get that different feel for the treads, that it's a separate piece and not just attached right there onto the tank. And our first comparison is going to be his fellow Reaver, Lady Deathstrike, from Marvel Legends X-Men. I do not have any of the other Reavers in my collection. I did pass on the lad from the Reavers that came with the alternate heads. Let me know in the comments. I can't think of his name. And I did not pick up, was it Donald Pierce either from the Hellfire Club? But these two look great together. You can see the Bonebreaker being mounted to the tank is slightly taller than Lady Deathstrike, thanks to the mohawk mostly. But they do look pretty great together. Definitely getting shades of X-Men the Animated Series. And I was not going to do this actually on camera, but I will kind of try to show you how the pegs will work. As far as having a figure stand on the back of the tank. I don't know if they had this in mind as far as what character they wanted to stand back there, but as you can see, we can get Deathstrike standing behind him. I did think about having her kind of just like hang on the side with one leg, and that would not look great. So let's kind of pull the camera up a moment here, but you can see that that looks pretty freaking cool, having her standing on the back of the tank. That might be how it goes on my shelf, to be honest. Next, we have the Reaver's mortal enemy, Wolverine, Tiger Stripe from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave. It seems apropos to have Wolverine compared with Bonebreaker. Again, I have to mention it, flashing back to those great episodes of X-Men, the animated series, which originally aired on primetime as a lead-in to the Phoenix Saga. But Wolverine looks great posed next to this guy. I can only imagine him ripping this tank apart with his adamantium claws. As this has a great military feel thanks to that awesome tank. Here's a comparison with a G.I. Joe classified, Cobra exclusive, Target Island exclusive, Cobra Island exclusive, Major Blood. And you have to love just having these mishmashes in your brain. Major Blood kind of rolls in and he's like, hey man, we need you to help us out a job. What appears to be the most obvious comparison here is Bonebreaker with Bone Collector from Bobby Vallo's Action Force line. I don't give Action Force enough love here on my YouTube videos. We did talk about them a lot on my live streams in the past, but I freaking love this Bone Collector figure. But Bonebreaker and Bone Collector teaming up to take down the X-Men and the Joes and anybody else seems like a match made in heaven to me, or hell, depending on how you're looking at it. Here's a look at the Bonebreaker Marvel Legends Build-A-Figure, standing with the NECA TMNT Raphael in disguise. Raphael with the hat standing just slightly taller than Bonebreaker. Here's Bonebreaker standing with a DC Multiverse McFarlane Big Mother Fragger Lobo figure. Lobo definitely standing much taller here than his friend in the tank. And our final comparison is the AEW unrivaled Orange Cassidy, who is hanging out with Bonebreaker because, well, they shop in similar sunglasses stores. They sometimes just run across each other and, you know, say, hey, I like your shades. Or things like, our future's so bright, we gotta wear shades. Or any other dad jokes that apply. So overall final thoughts, this is friggin' amazing. If you are an X-Men Marvel Legends fan, this is a must-have for your collection. We have no way of knowing how well this will be stocked. Obviously, Target is getting dedicated cases of Vulcan, Wolverine, and Siren, but sometimes Target doesn't get the rest of the wave, which is odd. Also, Marvel Legends at Walmart can be sketchy. Obviously, you have all your online retailers, great comic book shops like JAF Comics, JAF Comics. Check them out. They are an amazing store. They have an online site and a Instagram page, but this thing is just awesome. Marvel Legends team is completely hammered this home. It's amazing. Again, you get the alternate fists, the sunglasses. Overall, this thing is perfect. It's probably going to be, if not the best, the top 3 action figure, Build-A-Figure for the year. And definitely it's going to be in the running for Action Figure of the Year. So yeah, check them out. I will add that as far as the overall wave is concerned, I love the fact that only 6 figures were required, and they did not require us to get Wolverine, because I did not need another Wolverine in my collection. But overall, the wave itself, I was not thrilled with. Maggot looks pretty freaking cool. I guess Siren was a much-needed figure to finish out that team, or at least get closer to finishing out that team. But as far as the rest of the figures in the wave go, I wasn't super thrilled with the wave. But the fact that we got this as the Build-A-Figure is freaking amazing. So with that said, everybody, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. If you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It is free for you, doesn't cost you anything, helps us grow the channel tremendously. Hit that bell for notifications. That way YouTube will actually tell you when we post new content here on the channel, like our weekly toy hunts, our weekly toy reviews, and live streams. Leave a comment down below. Hit that like button. And for daily toy content and daily toy updates, check us out over at Instagram and Twitter at Disavowed_12. Hey everybody, if you're going toy hunting this week, please try to remember the 3 Ps of the toy hunt: patience, persistence, but most of all, politeness. Take care, stay healthy, and I'll be seeing all of you at the pegs.